let's segue to this. Let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I strongly believe that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to surprise a lot of people this season. Now, I am not a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I'm not drinking no Kool-Aid. I'm not being delusional or nothing like that. Listen, I live in the city of Jacksonville, and trust me, I don't really pay that attention to Jacksonville. When it comes to the football team, I don't pay attention to the Jaguars all that much. And there are a bunch of friends that I have around in my circle who are huge Jaguar fans. And I've been telling them, I've been saying, listen, when I look at this Jacksonville Jaguars roster, I see a really good football team. Now, I'm not saying they're going to make it to the playoffs, but what I am saying is that I definitely cannot see this team picking in the top 3 or top 5 in the 2022 NFL Draft next year. I believe that this team is going to be really competitive, and they're going to be in a lot of close games, okay? Offensively, you have a pretty good offensive line. Last year, the offensive line had some concerns because they couldn't stay healthy. But when the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive line is fully healthy, this is a pretty solid unit. Then you got DJ Chark, you got Laviska Shenault. You have a really good group of wide receivers. On top of that, you add Marvin Jones in free agency. Then you have what should be a pretty talented 1-2 punch at the halfback position with James Robinson, who was the best rookie halfback last year, and Travis Etienne, the rookie out of Clemson. Then you have Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars offense, this should be a pretty solid attack. You can run the football effectively. You also can have success throwing the football through the air. Now defensively, your biggest concern is what kind of production are you going to get out of the interior of your defensive line? In particular, I'm talking about what are you going to get from the nose tackle and defensive tackle position. Is Devon Hamilton going to be able to step up? Is Tavion Bryan finally going to be able to play up to the level that he was drafted in the first round a couple of years back? You got Malcolm Brown. Then, on top of that, how's the pass rush going to look? Josh Allen missed 8 games last year. Caleb Von Chasen had a really disappointing rookie season last year. Now, for the rest of the defense, it's pretty good. The linebacker unit has a lot of depth there. You got Miles Jack, you got Shaq Quarterman, you got Dakota Allen, you got Joe Schobert, who had a really nice year for Jacksonville. You got rookie Dylan Moses, who was an undrafted rookie free agent. Cornerback was a big hole for Jacksonville last year because they had a lot of injuries. They basically had guys off the street playing corner for the Jaguars. You basically could have gave me some pass, a chin strap in the helmet, and tell me to go suit up out there and play corner. And we could have made it happen. I'm only like, 15 minutes away from TIAA Bank Field. I could have did something. I could have played, I don't think I could have did any worse than the corners they had on there because they literally had guys off the street playing corner last year for Jacksonville. And no, I'm not saying that to be funny, and no, that's not a metaphor. That is the God honest truth. Now, you bring in Tyson Campbell, rookie out of Georgia in the second round. You got Trey Herndon. You got C.J. Henderson, who C.J. Henderson was the 3rd best rookie corner last year, but he wasn't able to stay healthy, so injuries really held him back. Then you have Shaquille Griffin. Now, I'm not really all that high on Shaquille Griffin. I'm not a big Shaquille Griffin fan. I feel like he's a tad bit overrated because he's really inconsistent, but I do think he definitely will improve the secondary. So you probably will have Tyson Campbell at slot. You'll have Shaquille Griffin and C.J. Henderson as your outside corners. Now, safety is another position of concern. Okay, you got rookie Andre Cisco, who I think should be able to win that starting free safety job. If not, I think you can't go wrong with Andrew Wingard or Rashawn Jenkins. Then at the strong safety spot is going to be between Rudy Ford and Gerard Wilson there. I like Gerard Wilson to win that job. So the Jacksonville Jaguars overall, this is a really solid roster. This is a really solid team. And if Urban Meyers lives up to the hype that everybody has for him when he first got hired initially by the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple of months, this should be a team that should be really competitive. And this is a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they found the way to sneak into the playoffs as a 7th seed. You're looking at a division that isn't really all that tough, really. You got Houston, who's pretty much there at the bottom. You got Tennessee and Indianapolis, which those are pretty 2 good teams. But I definitely feel like Jacksonville's roster is definitely way better than what a lot of you guys are expecting it to be. A lot of you guys think that Jacksonville is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying everything I say is always right, but based on what I've seen out of Jacksonville from a roster standpoint and the team they have assembled, I strongly doubt that this team will be picking in the top 5 next year. And if they are, then I think Urban Meyer most definitely should end up getting replaced, because there's no reason why this team cannot have a winning record this year. There's no reason why this team should not be competitive. Like, even if the Jacksonville Jaguars do have a season where they only win like 6-7 games, I expect them to be in a lot of one-possession games. I expect them to be in a lot of games that should only come down to a touchdown or less. And if the Jacksonville Jaguars lose a good amount of their games, I expect those losses to be decided by a touchdown. So for Jacksonville, I think this may be the best team that Jacksonville has put on the field in a very long time. Now, it's probably not as good as that AFC Championship appearance Jacksonville Jaguars team was, but even then, nobody's really expecting that much out of that team. That team didn't really have that much talent offensively, aside from Leonard Fournette and that talented defense they had. But I really think that this is a Jacksonville Jaguars team that is one of the best teams that Jacksonville has had in a very long time. Not counting that 2017 season or 2018, I forgot what year it was. I think it was either 2018 or 2017, I can't remember. But I think this is one of the best teams that the Jaguars have had in a while, and I expect this team to be fairly competitive. And I'm not really a guy who's really high on Jacksonville. Remember, I live in the city of Jacksonville, so I don't have to hype up Jacksonville. I'm not a Jaguars fan. You guys know who I'm a fan of, and you see it back in the background there. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but I do recognize solid competitive football teams when I see one, and that's what I see in Jacksonville. I definitely think that the Jaguars are going to be a lot better than what a lot of people expect.